I'm Terry Pascoe and welcome to After the 80. On today's show, we'll review round 11 of the Intrust Super Cup, catch up with Blake Leary from the Burleigh Bears and take a look at this weekend's fixtures. As per usual, Anthony Bomber Breeze joined us on the panel. What do you think of the weekend?
No, I thought there was a lot of good games there. 6 of the top teams in the 8 all won there in the Tweed machine, rolled along for another victory again, so they're looking good. So
finally, tipsters will be happy. They'll be rejoicing there's no upsets this week, so that'll be great. Our special guest this week on the panel is Blake Leary from Burleigh Bears. Mate, welcome.
Thanks, mate. Good to be here.
Excellent. And if you'd like to join into the discussion, you can find us on Facebook. Just search Phoenix Media Hub and leave your comments below. Now, let's have a look at all the results from round 11 of the Intrust Super Cup. We'll get to your game in a shortly, Blake, but Ipswich just got away, Bomber, with a win over Norse.
Yeah, it was a penny goal-a-thon in the second half. Wes Conlon put 4 over out of 5 there. Otherwise, it was a pretty even game. So obviously, the penalty goal is back in favour.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, how many penalty kicks did he go for? It's unreal. PNG Hunters got away 18-10 over the Capras in a close one over there in PNG. Tweed as well, keeping their winning run. Mate, I was out at the Sunshine Coast and had a look at the Sunny Coast vs Redcliffe for the James Ackerman Cup, and mate, it was probably one of the games this year where it wasn't as close as what other games have been. I don't know if that's from a disruption on the feeder club with the Sunshine Coast or what, but they just didn't really look organised.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say. Like, Sunshine Coast had been going. They've been up and down this year. They've had some good games and some bad games. But obviously, like we said earlier there, when you're a feeder club to an NRL club there, you get players back in late, and it does obviously disrupt things. Same as, obviously, Redcliffe. They lost Katini Staggs late. He obviously would have been in the Redcliffe team and obviously got his debut run for the Broncos there. But obviously, going forward, at the start of the year, you know this is going to happen, so you have to try and adjust to things like that and do the best with what you have. So
yeah, look, and like I said, Sunny Coast didn't do themselves any favours. Their defence mainly was quite strong throughout the game, even though they were giving up a lot of penalties, knock-ons, and like I said, going back on the penalties, it's silly penalties like hitting a kicker late, or just those real obvious ones. Like you've been a part of the pride with the Cowboys when the start of your career. Do you find that sort of there's a bit of disruption there with being a part of a feeder club?
Yeah, definitely. It's especially from the pride's point of view, as in they train all week with a certain squad, and to have, when I was there, it was 6 players going up. So you got to imagine that 6 players that are training there all week won't be there, and another 6 who've been training with the Cows all week, they go up and try and fill the spots. So you can obviously there's not that much continuity between it when you first get up there. It takes a few weeks to get everything sort of gelling.
Yeah, look, I mean, let's not take away from the Reckless performance. Tristan Hope was dynamite through the middle. He really terrorised the Sunshine Coast defence, which is a good bonus for them to see that they've got a good hooker there as well, mate. But Bomber, what was your game? What game do you like?
My game was the South game. South up against Mackay there. It probably wasn't as defence orientated as a lot of the other games there. It was 7 tries to 6 in the end. Obviously, it was Guy Hamilton's boot that did get him home. He kicked 6 out of 7, and I think he's the leading point scorer. So he's got an accurate boot on him there. It was 24-20 at half time, but they just blew him away late in the second half. And it was also good to see David Fafita, the South Logan under-18 Melbourne Inca captain. He got his debut, and he was also named in the 21 for the Broncos. So obviously Wayne's got a big rap on him too.
Yeah, he also made the selection for the Queensland rep side for the under-18s as well.
Yes,
so that's really good for him. Blake, you've been part of this competition this year and last year. What's your read on Mackay?
I think they're a bit of an underachieving team at the moment. They've had some good games and they've had some not so good games. But I think if they put their best squad on the field, that they're definitely a dangerous team. I don't think any team should take them lightly anyway. Yeah,
look, the game started with a hat-trick of tries for Corey Allen within the first 17 minutes. It was quite remarkable when you think about it. It was definitely a high-scoring game, which makes you wonder about defence.
Yeah, well, obviously South come out firing, and like I said, 3 tries to Corey in the first 17 minutes. South looked like they were going to blow them off the park there, but like I said, Mackay are not a team to be taken lightly there. They stuck in the grind. They come back and 24-20 at half time. They were back in it. Just that South stepped up a little bit in the second half again and got away with the points.
Yeah, look, it's. I guess you just wonder what's happening with Mackay. Like Lachlan Coote got dropped back. He was a late inclusion into the Mackay side. You wonder if again there's a disruption with having someone coming back in. I mean, you want the talent. I mean, if I was a coach, I'd want someone like Lachlan Coote with his experience playing for my side. But
well, of course you want an NRL player back there. But like you said, coming back there, they try and keep the same type of structures from one club to the feeder club there. But obviously, the coach of the Intrust club has a way too there that he wants him to play, and whether they can fit into that, sometimes it's a little bit hard, and sometimes it gels really good. So.
And Blake, you guys, Burleigh went up against East. First half, I guess, it looked pretty close. It was going to be a very tight affair, but I guess you come out. I guess you started the scoring run in the second half to get the boys on the front foot.
Oh, yeah, fell over the line. No, it was good. East are always strong. They always come out firing in the first half. I think we weathered the storm. We got into an arm wrestle, which we knew we needed to do. And, come away in the end and put a couple of tries on, which was good.
Jamal Fogarty made his return for the side. Was it good inclusion, get you back up and running?
Yeah, the voice. He just doesn't stop talking, that bloke. But it's good. He's a great director, pushes the boys around the park well, and scored a couple and set up a few more too.
Mate, playing at Seabus Stadium, this is obviously before the Titans game. I guess as a player, what's your preference? Do you want to be in these big stadiums or do you want to be playing down at Bear Park?
I think there's a bit of both. If you're young coming through, you always want to be in the stadiums. You always want to sort of feel what it's like, and you can imagine what it's like with a packed house and stuff. And as you get a bit older, I think you love that sort of home ground, sort of where your crowd gets around you, and after the game you're in the Leagues Club, and it's all just a real localised feel. So both have their positives.
Mate, East come in with Brody Croft and Billy Walters. Their combination is obviously growing. I guess, how do you guys defend these young halves and hooker pairings?
Well, I think, you've got to do a little bit of homework on players like them. Billy's sort of got like a touch background. He's real good on his feet, and Brody's got a great pass and a great running game. They're both real dangerous runners.
Now, we just saw you try there, Blake. I think you're underestimating it. I mean, you would say that was about 20 metres you ran down with about 5 guys on your back?
Probably 6 or 7, I'm not too sure.
But like I said, 3 quick tries probably didn't help East in the second half. Bummer.
No, well, obviously, like you said, if you do all the little things right there and you get a lead, a lot of teams can't defend leads. You see a lot of teams jump away, not just in Intrust in the NRL there, but the game's not dead. And if the other teams get back on, they can get on a little bit of a roll there. And like you said, they scored 3 quick tries and they're back in the game again. But obviously, Burleigh had a bit too much at the end.
No, is there, Blake? How'd you pull up after the weekend, mate? You all right?
Yeah, a little bit of a sore ankle at the moment, but we'll get back to the physio and see how we go. Hopefully I'm not out for too long, or I'm pretty all right.
So you think you'll be out this week?
It's touch and go this week. It's pretty sore to walk on, but like I said, I'll see the physio and see what I can do.
Mate, you debuted for the Cowboys in 2012. Then signed a 2-year deal down in Manly. Now going from Cairns and Townsville to the Northern Beaches. Mate, how did you find the transition?
I love the lifestyle down at Manly. It was beautiful. It's pretty exy down there to live. Cost of living's pretty up there, but love the lifestyle. In saying that, I enjoyed my time up north as well. Just 2 different. So you got your fishing up north, and then you got your surfing down south. Where there's no waves in Townsville.
Now, I guess they're a bit different sides. Like you would have had Paul Green with Jonathan Thurston and probably learning from those guys and Matt Scott and the Fords, but then going down and having Jake Travojevic, Daly Cherry Evans and Trent Barrett.
Yep.
Did how did you find that?
I sort of think my time up at the Cowboys, I actually looked up to Dallas Johnson. He was there when I was there. I know that show my age a little bit. So that sort of having those senior players in the team, it was always good to have around. They were very sort of structured in what they did and very serious. And then went down to down south to Manly, and my first year was with Tuvey, which was great. Had a good rapport with the players and stuff. So it was a good time. But then having those young players coming through, it's all their passion. Jake Trebojevic, even his brother, they're so passionate about the club, and that's something that really shows in his footy.
Well, obviously, back to Burleigh, where you're at now. They had a good season last season. You're there now, and they're on top of the ladder. Is it because of you, or what is the difference with the Burleigh side this year?
Mate, it's got very little to do with me. It's great to be a part of the side that is going well. I think we just found a good mix of we've got senior players in there with a lot of games. You've got Matty White and stuff and players like that, and then you've got young players like Troy Leo, and he's got some real good wheels on him. The kid can move, so I think it's just finding a balance, and a lot of it's player driven at Burleigh. Jimmy Lenihan's done a great job in setting up with like a process, and all the players have really bought in, and yeah, we stuck to it and going well.
It's obviously working great guns anyway, whatever Jimmy's doing.
Mate, I guess you've gone from Townsville to the Northern Beaches. Now you found yourself back on the coast. You're from the coast.
Yep.
I guess are you enjoying being home?
I'm loving it. Loving being back on the coast. Been around friends and family I haven't seen for years. It'll be good to stay on the park a bit more. I've missed 1 or 2 games with injuries. Just trying to find that consistency back on the field. But everything off the field, loving it and loving the club at the moment.
No worries. Now let's have a look at the, well, first of all, let's just say the footage that you saw was from the QRL media. If you would like to see all the highlights from round 11 of the Intrust Super Cup, please head to qrl.com.au. Now let's have a look at the competition ladder for round 11. As we said, Burleigh, mate, you're starting to pull away there from Townsville. I guess you can have a little dig at the boys now since you were playing for Townsville last year.
Yeah, they got up on us last 2 weeks ago. So we don't have too much bragging rights, but it's good to be on the top of the table.
Yeah, South and Redcliffe North, it's all getting quite tight in that top of that ladder.
Yeah, well, obviously with Burleigh on top, they're only 1 win ahead, and then you've got jam-packed underneath it there. But you can look at Tweed in 8th. 4 weeks ago, they were second last on the ladder. Now they're up into the 8th there. The Jets were much the same. They just need a couple of wins there and it boosts you back up. But obviously, like I said earlier, 6 of them teams won on the weekend. So obviously, the more them top 8 can win, it breaks them away from the bottom 8. So
I was going to say, it's so good to see Tweed coming up, but I guess they'd be reluctant to get rid of Kane Elgee, won't they?
well, obviously he's been playing well, and Conrad Hurrell. Obviously Conrad will go back in at some stage there, but AJ Brimson now got the run up there, and he's going quite well for the Titans. So they might have Kane for a little bit longer. So it's be good for them.
And we'll have a look over on the other ladder, and yeah, you can see it's not looking great for Mackay and Central. And Wynnum, but I guess again they're still only a couple of wins away, and I guess that shows how tight the competition is, Blake. I mean, do you find is there such thing as an easy game in the Intrust Super Cup?
Nah, not at all. That's one thing. We had one of our toughest games was the Central Capras. You know, we were losing up until about 5 minutes to go. So it just shows you that the ladder doesn't always tell the proper story. And like you said, they're only a few you string a few games together. They're only a few wins behind.
Now let's head to the Sunshine Coast where sports reporter Tom Threadingham joins us. Interesting game on the weekend. What were your take on the Falcons' performance?
Yeah, it was an interesting game. The Falcons just looked a bit flat. They never seemed to really get going, and the Dolphins were just too good on the night. I think they were just the better outfit.
Mate, the injury concern coming out of the Falcons. Lewis seems to be out for quite a while.
Yeah, Chris Lewis has got a fractured thumb. He's out for about a month, which is a huge blow to the Falcons. He's been really good for them in the forward line and in a few positions, actually. He played hooker as well on Saturday night, so he'll be a huge loss for the team as they try to sort of turn the tide.
Mate, what's been missing about the Sunshine Coast this year? I mean, last year they were in the grand final. This year they seem to be struggling to make the top 8.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know what to say there, but they just seem to every week seems to be something else they need to work on. I think their defensive line needs to sharpen up a bit. Like the Dolphins on Saturday night just kept finding the holes, and and talking to the coach, their halves combo on Saturday night hadn't trained with the crew, and they sort of just rocked up on the day. So I don't know if they're having troubles just connecting on the night, or but it's a hard one. They'll need to figure it out quickly, otherwise they'll be in a bit of trouble.
Look, I guess could this be an issue with like a lot of the Intrust Super Cup clubs have got feeder clubs, but I guess none have got it more tough than Eastern Sunshine Coast because they've got a lot of players coming from Melbourne, and a lot of times they don't get up here until game day in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain getting that talent in your lineup, but at the same time, they're not training with the crew sometimes, so they're not aware or fully ready for the game plan that the side's ready to put out. So it's kind of it's got a pros and cons, but they've certainly got a few Storm guys, and they've actually got Harry Grant who made his debut on the weekend for the Storm, which was good. He should be coming back for them this week, but it's a hard one to say for that. Yeah. Look,
they've got a tough game this week. Tweed Heads have won. They're on a big winning streak at the moment. They've got to head down to the Tweed. How do you think they'll go?
I'm not sure. Like Tweed are on quite a good roll there, but Falcons are coming up to the back of that pretty tough loss. It'll be hard, but like I said, they've got Harry Grant coming back from his sort of NRL debut, and they've got Tui Kamika coming back, and they've had a bit of a shake-up too in the lineup, a few changes. So I hope they go well, but we'll just wait and see.
All right, Tom, thank you very much for your time. And if you want to catch all the latest news from Tom, just head to the Sunshine Coast Daily. Tom Threadingham there from Sunshine Coast Daily. Let's take a look at this weekend's games. And, mate, you guys, Blake, you've got Mackay. Again, they're on the bottom of the ladder, you're on the top, but I guess it's still not an easy game, is it?
No, definitely not a team to take lightly. I think they've got their young halfback named Cooper Bambling. He was up north with myself and a quality young player alongside Nico Hines, so if those boys can lead them around, they'll definitely be a tough game.
There's some good quality games this weekend, Bomber. I mean, Redcliffe and Central have got the TV game on Channel 9, but you've also got the Pride up against the Devils and Tweed Heads against Sunny Coast. Yeah,
well, there is. Like I said, no game's an easy game in this competition. I'm looking forward to the either the PNG Townsville game or the South Ipswich game. They're probably four teams that are in form. Well, PNG probably not as much, but they've had a couple of wins now. They're moving their way up there, and probably South and Ipswich down there at Davies Park. So
yeah, look, well, the game for me this weekend would be Wynnum versus East. I think this is always a derby match. How do you see this game going, Blake?
It'll be a close game. It'll definitely be a high-intensity game, especially in the first half. They've both got great first half. They've both had a couple of lapses in the second half, but it'll be good to see who can hold on and bring home the win.
Bomber, what game do you think you'll be watching very closely?
I'll probably be watching the PNG Blackhawks game. I like how PNG do play. They're starting to hit a bit of form. We've mentioned earlier in the season there how they've had a little bit of disruption, but I think now if they can get on a roll, they could be a dangerous team the second half of the competition.
Well, sometimes that's all you need as a side, isn't it? Like you go and you lose a couple of games, I guess even like Burleigh, you just need that one win to get the confidence up, and then the boys can keep rolling.
That's it, and PNG, they just play with so much passion. They're so good to watch. It'll definitely be a good game because, like I said, PNG, they've only got one speed and it's 100 mile an hour.
Well, they hit hard too.
Oh, yeah,
are you always sore after the game?
Oh, that's by far the worst game. The next day you feel like you've been 12 rounds of Tyson.
All right, well, Blake, thank you very much for joining us on the panel. Good luck against the Cutters. So hopefully you get away with another win.
Thank you.
And as per usual, Bomber, thank you very much for your insight.
No, great to be here again. And like I said, thanks to Blake too for joining the show. So it's good to have a player on the show.
And also a big thank you to Tom Threadingham from the Sunshine Coast Daily. And thank you for joining us here on After the 80. For more updates, make sure you head to the Facebook page Phoenix Media Hub. We'll see you next week.